Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this. What is the key, and then feel free to put this in layman's terms, to good offensive spacing?
Making shots, having threats on the floor. You have to be in position to attack a scouting report. And we're not the only staff in America that watches and comes up with scouting reports, and that's what teams are doing. They're coming up with scouting reports. And Andrew, I'm not like this analytic guy, but the numbers are the numbers. It's always been that way. And if you look at our numbers and say, we can space them right now because the ball's not going in the basket. And then the second part of that is that they're mimicking what they're seeing other teams do. So for us, like, to have good spacing. Now, I will add one little caveat there. You have to have pace. You have to have pace. Is a smooth game and not this, like almost like root canal without Novocaine. And look, I'm being honest, that's the way it feels right now. There's a grind, and we want to get into a flow. Spacing will come from better pace and better shot making.
And I take it you're confident you can get there with this group. You don't feel like, all right, we need to be a grind it out and start winning games in the 50s type of team.
Not an enjoyable style, but I will say any means necessary, and absolutely, completely confident that the teaching, the drill work that we're doing, and the character of the players, not just the skill of the players, but the character of the players, we will get there.
Thank you.
Next up is Alejandro from Michigan Insider.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned earlier this year that Devontae Jones was doing things in games that were maybe uncharacteristic of him in practice. Specifically, it was foul trouble at that point. What sort of things are you seeing in practice that maybe he's not bringing out in games? What sort of things do you feel he still has to work on?
I think it's easier the second part is we want him to get lane touches. We want that ball to get into the paint, and not just through passing to Hunter or to Musa. We want to make sure that we get lane touches, and that he can then, to use the terminology, spray the ball around. And right now, we're seeing a little bit more of that each practice, but that's what we're really looking for. That's the key. Not worrying about shots, but making sure that the ball gets into the teeth of the defense, and that we can create our offenses off of penetration and pitching the ball. And again, the situations that he's in practice, it's there, but it's practice. When the popcorn's popping and the lights are bright, and everybody's watching, you want to make sure that there's a carryover from practice. He is spending an exorbitant amount of time with Howard Isley, film breakdown, conversations on the floor. Obviously, Jawan is a film aficionado. So all hands are on deck here, and again, complete confidence that Devontae will get there sooner rather than later.
Next question is Anthony Broom from the Wolverine.
Hey, Phil, on the flip side of that, when Frankie Collins has had to come in and spell Devontae, it hasn't seemed like so far the moment's been too big for him. What have you seen from him these last couple games?
I think you're exactly right. Like, it's not too big. He does carry himself in a way, like even in the way he walks into a practice, the way he goes through practice. I think that the the insistence with him is last year when people saw him play on those national settings in the high school games, I think one of the things that came out was that he was relentless on defense. We need that, and he has been told that and not criticizing, but let's take this up another level. Let's not be safe. Let's get up there and let's put pressure on their ball as much as they're putting pressure on our ball. So his growth, to me, yes, he has to become a better shooter. That will be reps and a little alteration in his form, and we want to make sure that he becomes an elite foul shooter, and that he becomes, in the affectionate terms, the pit bull on defense that we have seen. And last year at this time, Mike Smith wasn't a pit bull, and then Juwan Howard stayed on him every minute of every day, of every practice, of every game, and it changed. And that's the same that we will expect from Frankie.
Next up is Mark Ziegler from the San Diego Union Tribune.
Coach, I think last time I talked to you, you were in Viejas Arena for an NCAA press conference. One of my esteemed colleagues was asking you.
By the way,
the final
since the
moments of
guys
journalism.
listening, they're focused on football. Diego's the nicest.
That's why I live there. Speaking of San Diego, when you look at San Diego State, are they a little bit like you in that? I mean, when San Diego State makes shots, they're a pretty darn good basketball team this year, and when they don't, it's pretty ugly to watch. Obviously a very good defensive team, but do you kind of look at their film and say, oh, that's kind of like us?
To be honest with you, when I looked at their numbers, when I first looked at their numbers, because it's my scout, when I first looked at the numbers, I was like, holy mackerel, this is like a mirror, the numbers. And then when I've watched their film, the thing that jumps out is it's beauty in the eye of the beholder. Their defensive effort, whoever goes in the game, when the backups go in the game, their defensive effort is just absolutely inspiring to me. So I'm kind of looking at the game and saying, well, are we going to be able to score and run some offense and kind of get out of this little rut that we're in on the offensive end? This isn't the ideal opponent. At the offensive end of the floor, I think that them featuring Bradley, the confidence that the young Pullman, the point guard, plays with, I think that you see them trying different ways to make sure that their feature players get shots. That's similar to us. But their defensive, the denial, every guy 1 through 10 that's going to play will step in and take a charge. It's a gritty bunch for sure that we're going to play.
And I don't know how well you know Brian Dutcher, but I wonder if you could speak to the relationship that Juwan has with him. Do you get a sense from being around Juwan how special this is, and how special the relationship is, and how special this game is because of that?
I only know Brian a little bit. I don't know him like a great deal. I will always be appreciative of this. 2 years ago was our first summer out as a staff, and he pulled me aside and said, I know what you're doing. I know the sacrifices that you're making away from your family, out of Philly for the first time. He said, but you're going to love it. He said, because the people are so very special, and he couldn't be any more accurate. And Juwan and Jay Smith, the last couple of days when it comes up, whether it be a scouting report conversation or just even the logistics of when San Diego State's coming and when are they shooting and all that kind of thing, those two guys are they're really excited. They're and I'll use the term, they're almost giddy about this opportunity. And now you factor in national TV and playing a really good opponent. There's a lot of excitement. There's certainly a lot of excitement for those guys personally. And here's the deal. When the ball goes in the air, all that goes out the window. It's our 5 guys against their 5 guys, and we can hug and kiss and do all that stuff after the game. But, you know, when everybody out there that's ever competed against a brother or cousin, their next door neighbor, you always wanted to win, whether it was wiffle ball or you know, hide and seek. You always wanted to be the last one. So that's the way this game feels.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Phil.
Next up is James Hawkins from the Detroit News.
Hey, Phil, appreciate your time. I have a few questions. I guess this may sound dumb, but I guess just how do you acquire that desired pace that you guys want to play at?
Oh, no. Please. That keeps us up at night, getting this pace. I think that one is first there has to be an insistence, which there is, and then there has to be a commitment from the 5 players on the floor. So the coaching staff had to insist on it every single time. The players on the floor have to commit to it. They have to commit to acknowledging when they can't make that pace and really take themselves out of the game. Then we get a fresher body in there. We have to become a better defensive rebounding team, which means that overall we have to become a better defensive team. Our numbers are pretty good, but they are a little bit inflated. And I think it's straight up, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to insist upon a sprint every single time down the floor for all 5 guys. And they then have the responsibility, as long as they're held accountable. They can't look sideways if you say, well, you didn't sprint that time, and we want to get somebody in there that's fresh.
And then I know with Hunter being a focal point of the offense, when the outside shots aren't dropping and teams are, kind of collapsing down on him in the paint, I guess, what can you guys do to combat that and maybe still keep him involved and get him touches?
You know what? I'd love any and all suggestions on that, because on a crowded floor, it's challenging. One of the things that we are working with is maybe a little bit different entry point. So if you enter the ball from the wing and everybody's loaded up to that side of the ball, that's going to be a tough pass. But maybe if the ball is entered from the top of the key going down the floor, maybe you have less congestion. We're looking at it. We're working on it. We're putting in wrinkles to address that. We want to make sure that that Hunter is part of that, sprint the floor, get out, get down the floor. Maybe we beat the other big guy down the floor and get a position that we want. But right now, it's just a crowded floor. But we are not walking away from. We know who our horse is. We know where our bread is buttered. And that is one of the things that makes us different than a lot of college teams. A lot of teams go to 5 out. We're not going to 5 out. We're going to stick with this. We're going to have a low post presence, and we're going to jump on Hunter's back and make sure that he takes us, where we want to go as a group.
And then my last question is, I guess, just what do you look for in the freshmen? Guys like Kobe, Caleb, Musa, Frankie. I guess what do you look for to make sure that they're making steady progress?
Exactly that. We look for steady progress, and it only has to be one thing, James. Like it's not. Well, Caleb will be in great shape. He's going to make all of his shots, and then everything's going to be great Saturday night. It's like what Kobe is a quiet guy. Okay, today in practice, can we get him to be vocal? It's just one little area. We have a thing around the program, 1%, 1%, 1%. And everybody from Jawan all the way down to any of our walk-ons to our managers, we are asked to give 1% better in one area today. That's exactly what we're looking for from those young guys. Frankie Collins, like, go back, his foul shooting, but he and I had a chance to speak yesterday. He went 2 for 2 at Carolina. Okay, that was his 1%. It didn't go real well for us across the board with our team, but he was 2 for 2. All right, now can we go 4 for 4 in your next opportunities? But it's always, we're not going to, they're not going to overnight become fabulous. I always have gone back to this idea. 5 American, Hunter Dickinson did not start, and he did not start by merit. Austin Davis won that job. So it wasn't like, Hunter came in and, oh, well, that's it. He was the be all end all. He worked to get there by being 1% better each and every day.
Coach, we got one final one for you from Andrew Kahn from MLive.
As far as the 4-3 start, I mean, Juwan and the players were talking about how it's early in the season, and it is. But I guess if you can share a little from behind the scenes, like the balance between not panicking, but also letting the players know this isn't the standard. If that makes sense.
Well, I would say, Andrew, like, again, sometimes it seems like I'm gushing over Juwan, but I go back to our first year, and we couldn't get a sniff of a win on the road in the Big Ten. And I just know myself, I'm ripping it and agonizing over it. And he just had this ability to say, okay, everybody breathe. Let's get on to this day and this challenge. That's exactly the message that he has delivered to these players. And it's why there's not a lot of hand wringing. There's a lot of introspective study going on. And it's not just a numeric study, but all right, let's look at film. Let's see where we can improve. So I just have this notion of, it seems so, you can get so despondent, and then you look at the calendar and say it's December, but you cannot be cavalier about it. You can't say, it was the setting, or it was this, or it was that. We clearly have identified more from the 3 losses than the 4 wins, but even those were sketchy at times. These are the areas. And if we can get to those areas and be better today, then we'll play better tomorrow. That's the whole thing. Play better individually and collectively tomorrow against a quality opponent.
Thank you.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Tom.
Yep.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
You started this by stating that a lot of people were on their way to Indianapolis. Is something going on in Indianapolis that I've missed?
No,
I'm so focused in on hoops. Is something happening?
It's a little bit of a football game, the Pigskin Classic or something. I'm not sure what it is. I think Harbaugh's bringing some guys over there for some sort of meeting. Maybe St. Elmo.
7-on-7.
St. Elmo's.
Hey, I will say this, Tom. That atmosphere on Saturday, that was chills for me. And I measure all athletic experiences where I'm a fan on the 2008 World Series Game 5 in Philadelphia. The Phillies were going to win the World Series. I knew it. And that first half, I left at halftime. I had to take my wife to the airport. The fans brought it, boy. They really, really bought it. And I fully understand the friendly rivalry that is Ohio State, Michigan now. So thank you for everybody out there providing me that lifetime experience.
So you finally have your